I wasn't present. I wasn't there, and actually, my life was an autopilot. And the signs for me were the fact that I wasn't making cognitive decisions. I wasn't I wasn't in the moment. And the fact is, I turned off the looking after myself button, and I was just purely delivering and focused on delivering the task in hand. And I wasn't thinking for myself. There was no yeah. As I say, all I can describe it really as is I was on autopilot, and you know I wasn't talking to friends, I wasn't talking to family. I was literally just in this world, and
of
that's not right.
autopilot. Yeah,
That's
yeah, completely. Like it seems acceptable. It seems understandable that people can do that. I think it takes that awful thing of a kick up the arse or a kick in the teeth to, you say, your heart attack or other things that can just go, right, okay, I need to actually pay attention to myself now, and actually start showing up for myself than pay attention to everyone else. And as you say, the realization of you having a mental having a heart attack and then having a mental breakdown, it's led you to the book, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Because
Okay,
again,
so
it's just again, I'm very conscious that, um, and I don't really lean into mental health in the book. I do reference it, and again, I reference the heart attack, but they're not huge. They're not huge stories. That they are on one level, but that it was a relatively short space of time that I sort of recognised that was happening. Um, and I literally I checked out. That was the thing. I wasn't engaging with anyone. And I was, as I say, the best way I could describe it is autopilot. I just my brain had switched itself off to being engaged with anyone. Um, and as I say, I look back, I wasn't eating. I was that exhausted that I wouldn't call it sleeping either. I would literally, I would lay down on my bed, whether I was closed, whether I'd got changed for bed, whether I was still fully awake, fully dressed. And within minutes, I'd be out. But it wasn't good quality sleep. It was exhaustion. Um, and again, I think that's all these things are signs that you don't want to believe, and you don't want to think about. And again, I was like, well, I'm busy. We've got to get through this. It's a busy period of time. I'll rest later. I'll do this. I'll do that. But when you start looking back and going, I wasn't eating. I was surviving on caffeine and adrenaline. I wasn't. I disconnected from everyone around me, bar transactional activity. So I was leading my team, but I was doing it in the fashion of, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you. We're not going to discuss it because we're just going to get on with it. Which again, that isn't me. I'm a very collaborative person. I'm very, I'm very much a leader in terms of we lead from the front, but we lead together. And my whole persona had just changed because I checked out. And I'd shut down as a person. I was just, as I say, getting through it. But my concern, I suppose, the bigger concern for me is where I'd be if I hadn't had the heart attack. Luckily my body had recognised where I was, and it did something to stop me or change me. As I say, and obviously it's one of those things you don't want to want to think about. But for me, it's about talking to people and getting them to understand where they are in that process, because it does, all these things affect people. They affect people in different ways. But no one else had recognised it in terms of me, because I just shut myself off from my external support network.